This podcast contains adult language, descriptions of violence, sexual references, and other possibly offensive themes. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome to this episode of Back to the Story, where friends come together to play Dungeons and Dragons. I'll be your DM, Klaus. Let's get started.
When you see God's Rust surrounded by armies,
I'm sorry I couldn't buy us more time.
then know that its dissolution has come near.
I mean, I have great faith in the gods. I think that no matter what happens, they're going to triumph over this.
Then let those who are upon the pinnacle flee to the mountains.
And it's not really our place to judge, but to serve.
And let those who are inside the city depart.
I think if you gave me a few days, I could learn enough deep speech to try.
And let not those who are out in the forest enter it.
I'm an archaeologist. Disrespecting the dead is kind of what I do.
For these are the days of vengeance,
I just want to know what the fuck I am.
to fulfill all that is written.
Do not heed the visions of false prophets. Do not become what they want you to become.
Alright, Scales. It's up to you now. You've got this.
Goals down. Sounds good.
Oh boy, howdy.
Oh boy, howdy, here we go. Once again. Last son of Vladis, Swordfill, White Tomb of Tynear, 18th First Frost of 4th Feast, 3rd Era, year 628. Wind and ice, screams, and the splattering of life like red paint upon the white canvas of snow. The rock, solid and great, rises into the air as the last few moving vines of ice struggle against the onslaught of arrows and fire. The deathly plant surrounds the ancient spire now, protecting it, clinging to it, as the hooded figure lifts their hands, mirroring the boulder as it moves above the plant. Stones and ice fall upward to meet it. The bodies of the gleaming eyes fall upwards towards the heavens. Hot breath pulses out the muttering of arcane words as the hooded figure overturns their hand, and everything rains back down upon the Nor, driving the plant to dust. Remembrance of Wraith Mist, guardian of the Waystone of Death. Previously, as the bronze scales await the word of Tasha and prophecy, they prepare for a long journey north into the White Tomb of Tynear, the ruined kingdom of the giants. Saying their family goodbyes, the scales march north, past the cliffs of Nava, where they healed and repaired the scale of Orcesis so long ago. Continuing through the ruins of Mortham, where they defeated the Volgrith and put a friend to rest. Into the Balkan timberlands, where Ball intimidated the Umbergans there, who gave him a simple symbol of Tyrus. Pushing northwest, the scales crossed the Roost Ridge, through a mountain pass, fighting winter wolves who chased them there. The spirit orbs of the wandering dead crossed their path, as the scales made fur cloaks from wolf hides, braving blizzards as they moved into the hill-clad range, moving quietly under the hunting wings of white dragons, to Swordfill. We come back to the story here. After nearly a month of journey through the harsh lands of Severwind and into Tynear, you found the hidden monuments of great weapons which surround the massive skull of a dragon, carved with runes. Ball, you lifted Avalmar, the hammer ruined with fury fire, as Vesper spoke to the skeletal remains of a giant. A frozen mist rolled in, preceding 20 to 25-foot silhouettes of frost giants, the Isiotun walking forth from it. The leader stepping forth, one of pale blue-gray skin and a long white beard, impales a great staff into the snow. The runestone atop it ceases to glow as the frost around it draws back. The flurries fall to the ground. The wind's howls quiet. With the frozen mist receded, you can make out the 7, 8, 9 or so frost giants that now face you. moving like pillars with pale blue flesh hulking shoulders beneath furs of great beast, brandishing spears and axes the size of siege weapons as they approach. The leader takes another step forth away from the staff he drove into the snow.
So it begins.
Looking at Paul, speaking in giant.
I'm gonna, as subtly as I can, grab a scroll from one of my many pockets, turn around, and cast Comprehend Languages.
Okay. So you hear it as well. And you hear some murmuring from some of the frost giants behind the leader. One younger-looking one whispers under the breath as you finish that scroll, "By the Father, it's happening." And then another one kind of jostles him against the shoulder. "He's not even wearing it yet. He hasn't passed the trials in any case." But they kind of gather around that leader who takes another step towards you all.
Child.
The older leader kind of leans down to look at you, Paul. Tattoos of swirling giant runes upon his shoulders and neck, eyes frosted over.
For what reason do you find yourself here, in this sacred land?
You see Ball he's kind of quiet. He says, he almost kind of looks behind, like over his shoulders, to the other bronze scales, looks forward and says, I'm not quite sure, but something about this weapon has called to me. And then as he says that, he kind of, he was dragging the weapon behind him as he walked up. And as he says that, he kind of continues to drag the weapon from behind him in front of him. And just kind of like, after he says that, he picks it back up with both hands and just kind of is holding it in front of this, looking up at this frost giant. How tall are these frost giants?
They range from 20 to 25 feet. The leader in front of you is maybe 23 feet tall. Not the tallest by any means, but tall and slender. So they're about double your height.
Right, yeah. So I'm holding the hammer in my hands and just kind of looking up into this frost giant leader's eyes.
He takes a knee so he can see you better.
And
he reaches out towards your arm.
Where did you find this? What brought you here?
This was given to me in a fire. What do you know of it?
Little. But I know enough. Stories of the Yodiotan, our cousins to the north. They're waiting something like this. You said something led you here. Who's guiding your path?
I think Ball looks over his shoulders again and says, we set our own path, all of us.
The children of the Forebearer.
He kind of gets back to his feet.
Are waiting. The son of Tainir has said that one day one will walk here, and they will lift the hammer, and they will be wearing a crown. We all expected a child of Vladis and Yodiotan. Well, you're not quite that, but you do bear the runes.
He kind of points to the runes on your chest.
You follow the Forebearer. You believe in his return.
Ball's, like, you see, Ball looks a little confused because this frost giant obviously knows a lot more, or is like talking a different language in a way. Baal's not really familiar with who this Forebearer is, and he talks about these prophecies as if Baal should know them too. Yeah, he just kind of, he's like pausing and like looking at the runes on his chest and looks back up and says, I don't know any Forebearer. I don't know who you are, though I don't feel threatened.
And yet you come, wander through this secret spot, to the death of Black Eyes, and you left the hammer. Do you know who created it? Or are you just wandering thieves?
I do. I read it the other day, and now that I need to know, I can't say it.
Okay.
Give me a second, I'll see if I can find it.
And K meaning not okay, but as in K pasa.
Because we had something in that document. I think it was stuff that.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the damn document too.
Yeah, the one that Amson had helped Baal look for, and there was some stuff in there. I'm just trying to find it.
Here it is.
I'm sending it.
Yeah, I've got it here. The Volmer for, I'm going to picture this, for Cinderrock. If I keep reading, so where it says, for Cinderrock hammered all the iron of the deep into a crown for Vladis, and so she blessed Volmer as the anvil of Kot.
So what is Baal's response as he asked this? And you can see when he says the word thieves, implying that maybe you're not who he thought you were. He kind of takes a more defensive stance. And the other frost giants kind of spread out a little bit, sort of a semicircle, in the bottom half of this little canyon.
Maybe you see, Baal's basically trying to rehash what he remembers studying with Amson. So, instead of just kind of saying a single name and waiting, you see Baal kind of quietly, but maybe loud enough that this Raja in front of him could hear, and he's like, "For Cinderrock hammered all the iron of the deep into a crown for Vladis, and so she blessed Volmer as the anvil of Kot."
So you know something. But why have you come? You come to attempt the trials. Do you believe yourself to be the son of Vladis?
I'm here to find out why this was given to me. And then Baal reaches to his, to the crown, and, as he says that, he lights it up and just kind of runs his fingers over the ring, or the crown rather.
You can see all the frost giants going to take a step back as you do so. Your eyes widen a bit.
Well, you brand the marks, and you wear a crown. Will you pass the trials? That is yet to be seen.
And what trials do you speak of? We have come from a faraway place. We are not as familiar with... And you see Baal just kind of look around.
You should seek the histories. They're far more better historian than I, an old hunter. The trial of the mantle. What will precede the return of Dynir and of Tyrus? The trial of Ash and Ember. It is said that a lost son of Vladis will return, and it will be wearing a ruby crown.
And he kind of looks towards the flaming crown.
Then dear Volmer, and make for him a mantle of ember. We will carry the banner and precede the return of the Father. If you seek to take on this trial, you will be taking on the tomb of the serpent tightened, finding the bones of Sadal, taking from it its heart, so that a mantle of Titan horn and ember brands can be forged. If you seek this child, it can guide you. You will have to seek the blessing of Drovarar, and you'll want to know more, I'm sure. There's a bit of whispering back and forth between the frost giants, kind of behind this leader. Some that are unsure and who whisper things like, "Imposter, just here to steal the hammer." And others who are more awe-struck and more naive faces who are grasping at symbols hanging from their necks.
I haven't stolen anything. This was given to me. He looks at the crown. And it brought me here to take this. Do you believe you can lift this yourself?
Many can lift the hammer, but few can pass the trials, child. He narrows his eyes at you. Paul, give me a persuasion check.
With the crown being activated, do I now get advantage on it?
I believe so.
Sweet.
Did you put it on your head?
No, but it's currently on my... it does say if when it's activated. I guess that's kind of up to you if you want to make it so that part only works if it's actually on my head.
I think you have to wear it. Yeah.
Okay,
but you can
enough.
certainly put it on your head to kind of accept that mantle.
I don't know if Ball's quite ready for that yet. Okay. Maybe a bit later. So maybe I'll just use my inspiration of the day.
Okay.
Does natural 20 work?
Sure does. He's narrowed his eyes at you as the flaming crown on your arm is burning. Kind of folds his arms, leaning his weight onto one foot. We will see, child, of fire. We will guide you to Excolt. We can seek the trials for yourself. He looks to the frost giants behind him. Scotty. And two frost giants kind of step forward. This, you've been to the apex. Guide him there. And you see, of the two that stepped up, one is a naive, young-faced frost giant. And the other, who he seems to be referring to, is a female frost giant, lean and muscular. Looks almost like a frost giant scout. Ice white eyes, braided black hair, wearing furs and having a bone axe hanging from her waist. She kind of folds her arms and kind of has this resting bitch face. Sort of, she was one of the ones that was saying he hasn't even passed the trials. Where the young faced one was the one that was very much like, this is him. You will be guided there by this Scotty. And Ball, you know that word is giant for scout. When you arrive there, tell them that I aim at you, and I send you there for the trials of Ash and Ember. And with a natural 20, and if you are a true son of Tyrus, will you accept a blessing from him?
I think you still see kind of like hesitation with Ball. So Ball, every time Ball says, or like is asked these questions, he still kind of looks over his shoulder, looking at the other bronze scales.
He will hear Felix's voice in his head. The answer to that question is always yes.
Vesper just looks like she's internally screaming.
Ball looks back and says, I accept it.
Good. He looks back to the frost giants and starts commanding orders as he moves forth towards the monuments and to the base of the dragon skull and drops to his knees and begins chanting.
A few other of the frost giants kind of gather around and begin chanting as well. One of them brings out this large drum and begins beating it as well. A few of them, 3 or 4, drag the body of something closer. As it reveals itself past the trees, you see they have on a sled a dragon, the size of maybe a very large horse, maybe the size of a small wagon carriage, and they begin cutting into it, draining its blood, holding it so that it drips into a bowl. They carve out the heart, and they break the horns off and pull scales off as well. And they put these in different offering bowls as the leader takes them and places them at the base of the dragon skull, and takes the bowl of dragon blood, which is this very light blue, silver white substance that as soon as it drips into the bowl is covered in frost that kind of spreads along it. He takes this blood and pours it onto the dragon, so that it pours into the grooves of carved runes and sort of slides down those grooves, filling them in, frosting over the skull as the chanting is growing louder and louder. And the chanting is this guttural, giant,
Vondrango Jean la Veca, Drajavondrakir.
And they repeat these things, and the leader ushers Ball you up to the front and reaches into the bowl, placing his hand in it, pulling it out. His hand is frosted in this blood solidified, and reaches towards your face and places it over. You can feel the cold, numbing sensation come over your face as he marks your arms and shoulders as well. And you feel this sort of almost freeze these marks upon you. This ritual takes in total, maybe an hour between harvesting, chanting, and performing it. But eventually the chanting stops and they step back, leaving piles of scales, and harvesting meat. It seems they're going to be taking back as well, as the frost giants are preparing to leave, leaving one behind.
As this is all going on, probably towards the beginning of it, Ellery just nudges Vesper and is like, what the fuck is happening? Is this good? Is this bad?
I think this is good. Their blessing ball.
Okay, that sounds good.
Sounds good. They aren't killing us, so I'm going to take it as a win.
That's definitely good. And then just step back and watch what's happening.
Eventually they finish their ritual and they are preparing to leave, as they've basically cleaned this dragon, taking the important bits or the salvageable bits that aren't used in the ritual back, leaving the last leader and this one female frost giant. The leader speaks up one more time.
Miss Gantives. She is an experienced scout, has been to escort. She will guide you there.
He kind of places his hand on her shoulder and nods to her. She returns it.
Travel well, and good luck, son of Vladis.
Takes up the staff again. As he raises it up, the runes on the stone sphere begin to glow again, frost manifesting as the mist and flurries and wind begin to whip up again, kind of this mini blizzard that they use to travel or hunt in, and the giants begin to depart, leaving one there with you.
Out of curiosity, did they leave you said parts of the dragon corpse were left behind? Is the head?
The head is, yeah.
Does it still have eyes?
It does.
Can I try and extract one?
Do you want help with that?
Certainly go for it.
If you don't mind, it's a rather delicate operation, and you seem to have training.
Bet.
I'll assist.
Side-eyeing. So do you want me to roll twice?
Yes.
side-eyeing the giant as I do this. So that's cocked. Flatten out my desk.
As you guys walk over, begin pulling your tools out. What are you doing? No, stop.
What's a 30?
Moves over. Are you going to try to do it quickly before she gets to you?
Yes.
Okay, with a 30, you can do it in a split second.
And I shove it into Felix's hands.
Okay. With a 30, I'll say you can carve out one of the eyes, grab it, and shove it into Felix's hand. Felix, you get one thing. What are you doing with it?
I very quickly turn invisible and just start, yelling to Ball, okay, clearly we made a mistake, but can you calm her down, please? We'll leave it alone. And I'm just running invisible, trying to not get smashed by a giant.
Ball will call out. I don't think Ball was given a name, so Ball will say, Scotty? Was that right? Something to that effect?
Yeah, something like that.
Scotty.
So, Ball, you're yelling as she's rushing over Vesper. You quickly get it out, throw the eye to Felix as he turns invisible and starts yelling at Ball. Ball, you start yelling as a spear comes towards you, Vesper. That is a 24 to hit.
Yeah, I think that hits.
And a 17 to hit.
Yeah, that will also hit.
Oh, boy. Okay.
Great, it's fun. Having a good time.
Oh, jeez. So that is 22 points of piercing damage on the first strike and 30 points of piercing damage on the second strike.
Beautiful.
Are we about to slaughter our scout?
I hope not.
There are seconds before this goes further south. So what is y'all's immediate reactions as she rushes over and stabs Vesper twice with a spear? Oh, but make a strength save as well. Forgot.
God.
Shout, what the fuck?
Ball will cast a person?
In giant, I'm just like, it's a dead dragon. We're harvesting. What's wrong?
What's your strength saves?
Oh, bad. 11.
Okay, you're knocked prone onto the ground.
This is a sacred place. You would leave these things alone.
Felix, put it back.
Okay, well, she could have used her words first instead of her spear. So...
I did.
No. It happened too quickly, so why don't you calm down and maybe explain yourself in the future? I'll put it back.
I thought you would be wise enough not to rob from a shrine. Perhaps I should be less trusting of you creatures next time.
Can we go? She's starting to bore me.
I think at this point, Ball catches up to the situation, catches up to everybody, and kind of, Ball's not usually a mediator for these kinds of things, so it's just kind of like, okay, I don't know what to do here. I think everyone will calm down. Felix, why did you should put it back. And Scotty, apologize for hurting my friend.
My name isn't Scotty. It's my title. This. I won't apologize for protecting a shrine. Return it so we can get out of here. Doubt you'll survive the journey anyway.
Yeah, whatever. As I drop it off and go invisible, we did kind of just watch your people ravage this body, so figured it was fair game. Sorry we misunderstood. Have a pleasant journey. I'm going to be in the orb. And then he sticks his hand in his pocket and disappears. Or, sits for a minute and just pouts while he waits.
I'm going to start healing myself with a healer's kit and do really, really poorly. 15, 16.
So, is our new quote-unquote friend speaking in giant the whole time, I assume?
She is.
Okay. Then Ellery's mostly standing around being like, I
Try to keep up. And she begins to, after a minute, begins to walk out to the edge, but is kind of keeping an eye to make sure you leave this area with her.
Before she walks away, Vesper will just say, I can respect religion, but I don't understand your ways. Explain them to me, and I will.
Don't steal from a shrine.
Easily done.
Good.
And then maybe as we're kind of walking or catching up to, is it pronounced Veus?
Yeah.
Ball's kind of still a little confused with the situation. He's like, I don't understand. Why did you need the eye of the dragon anyway?
For a project? Are you talking to me or her?
I mean, I guess it was to maybe to Vesper. Maybe I'd like to think maybe Ball wasn't really aware that Ball watched Vesper do it, right?
Yeah.
And then give it to you. So Ball's asking Vesper at this moment. Yeah.
Felix asked me to help him get it, and I'm the best at precisely, removing things from corpses. I don't know why he wanted it, but he asked for it.
Maybe at that point, that's where Ball will kind of directly talk to Felix in his head and say, "You have a new. Why did you want the eye?"
It's an ingredient for something I wanted to build. I didn't think it was a problem. Honestly, if Vesper hadn't been so fast, I would have told her to stop and wait. But it all happened. So...
Eat a dick, Felix.
I would have. I didn't tell you to rush it.
God.
But I don't think well, as usual, I made an immediate, wonderful impression on our new companion. So I'm going to chill out in here and just not. Okay?
Okay. How far away is this place, Veus?
A few days. Past the Hillgrad Wall. Once we get to the ridge, you'll be able to see it in the distance. You're not from around here. None of you are. That much is clear. You want to stay close and walk quietly.
At this point, the crown would be off, since we're kind of out of dialogue. And Ball will say, Ball will again look behind his shoulders, over his shoulders to the party, and look back at Veus and say, thank you for leading the way.
Not much of a choice.
You guys travel through the Hillgrad Wall, this region of canyons, kind of winding, nearly maze-like, almost like a glacier that was shattered like glass, walking through the cracks in it, these canyons, eventually come out of it and begin to ascend up until you're walking on a trail, a ridge trail. Every now and then you see some stacked stones. Sometimes there's some runes carved on it, sometimes not. And to the left and right, the ridge drops off into valleys below. You can see the ridge follows a line up and down for a few peaks until you see a peak in the distance where the snow is melted out the top and billowing dark smoke rolls out of the peak of it. There's 3 days of travel. And for the first 2, it's pretty standard. Is there anything you guys wanted to do during those first 2? You travel at night, you camp. Is there anything else you guys wanted to say or do during that time?
Do we get the long rest that we didn't get after all the travel? Or
at this point you would, yeah. Okay. So we're out of the journey mode.
Good, because I needed spells again.
Yeah, that would have been a rough fight if it came to that.
She was kind of a bitch,
but you guys are the one that sprinted to the like they just spent an hour doing a ritual, like to
and then they left
Ball,
like,
and you guys are just like went to desecrate it.
I understood that it was like the spare parts because they took the blood and everything and were doing that ritual, and then this was like off to the side. Like
literally, I thought we were approaching what was a comic like spine with like the hands still on, like just the bits of this dragon. Then I'm like, okay, well they left the eye. They don't need that. Can I take it?
Classic cultural clash or whatever. Culture shock.
I need to be right back for 30 seconds. So if you guys want to do stuff in between, I'll be back real quick.
Felix will notably not leave the sphere during this journey. If anyone wants to talk to him, they have ways.
Well, I did say before that I wanted to talk to Vesper at some point, so... Okay.
If you want to do so, do you do it around a campfire? Do you do it in the sphere?
Whatever makes the most sense for when it can be just the two of us. So
not in the sphere because Felix.
Yeah. So probably on watch at some point. So I think as we're sitting there, I just kind of nudge her with my elbow and say, so I guess you and Amson haven't had a lot of chance for privacy on this little expedition of ours.
I suppose we haven't. That's fine. Taking watches, we've been able to talk.
Just talk? Not been distracted on your watches?
In Severwind, where everything wants to eat us, no, I've been pretty focused.
I just kind of put my hand in my chin and look at her and kind of grin.
I'm not sure what you're hoping to get out of this conversation, Ellery.
Come on. You know exactly what I'm hoping to get out of this conversation.
I think you're going to be sorely disappointed.
Oh?
I think the best poked the fire for a little bit. Look, the first night when we admitted how we felt, we spent the evening talking and discussing our feelings and what we wanted and what we didn't want, what we hoped for. Amson is wonderful and sweet, and he understands me and my... I'm not really sure how to broach it. I've not really talked about this before.
I think I know what you're trying to get at. Maybe. Look, I know I can be kind of irritating, poking about this stuff, but mostly I just want to know that, you two are doing all right.
I think we are, yeah. It's been good, and, I was always so scared growing up, all the things you hear about people in love, it's all either knights on horseback which is ridiculous, or it's, winks and nudges in the corner of a bar sort of thing. And none of that ever felt right. But I just, I explained to Amson that I'm asexual and he's okay with it and he understands. And I don't feel pressured to be anything that I'm not or to give anything that I'm not willing to give. And it's nice. It's really nice.
I think that's why I always kind of thought that you were like me. I mean, not with the whole sex thing, but when it came to romance, all that lovey-dovey shit. But I guess it makes sense to me that if you're gonna end up with anyone that way, then Amson would be the one.
I mean, I thought that too for a long time. I've been married to my work. But I guess I just, like I said, I was scared. I figured I wasn't normal, so how was I supposed to have what everyone else did? seemed like bullshit. But everyone's different, and every love is different, and I do love Amson, and he loves me back and doesn't expect me to change.
So, how did you know? Because, I mean, I always thought when I was younger that love, the way people talked about it, was just another word for wanting to fuck somebody. But obviously that's not what's going on with you and Amson. So how do you tell? What makes it different?
I don't know, it started slowly. When you were in prison, it was just the two of us in Ball. Calvin was gone at the tower and the library all the time. And, likes the solitude. So there were a lot, it was just me and Amson, and it was easy to talk to him and things that he's not trusted anyone else with, and I felt I could do the same. And it was just slow, but I feel safe with him, and it just seems like every time I think of the future, of what I want, being there with me. And the moment I knew, I guess, or realized what all of it meant was in Hamel, when we were at the dance. And I tripped, and I almost took him to the floor with me. But he caught me before I could fall, and he twirled me, and I just remember feeling like the room didn't stop spinning when I did, and I don't know. It all just kind of fell into place.
I guess I still don't really get it, but I don't have to if you get it, for you. I guess there have been some times that I've kind of wondered if maybe what I was feeling for somebody was that, but I still don't know how to tell the difference.
I mean, I guess it's blurry. It's different for everyone. I don't know. I can't decipher it for you. If I could, I would help.
Yeah, well, Amson would probably know the right words to put to all of this shit, but I sure don't.
He's very good at that. I mean, we're young. There's no rush.
Well, the end of the world might be coming.
If we all survive, then we'll have plenty of time to figure it out.
True.
And if not, we all love you. Except for Felix, but I don't think he's capable of love.
Well, I don't know if he's capable of loving us, but I think he feels more than he claims to.
I think so. He's not so bad once you get used to him.
Maybe. I'm gonna give Vesper a hug. Hey, I love you too. I think that might be the first time I've ever told you that directly.
It's alright. And I'll give her hand to hold her hand while we finish our watch.
Okay. Any others during those 2 days?
I would encourage Bald to see if they will give him any insight into what these trials are going to be.
I just have to rip the heart out of a serpent. What's the big deal?
A Titan serpent.
How was that all?
Yeah, what does this Titan serpent do?
I don't know, eat the world, probably? How should I know?
Yes, maybe at some point during one of these campfire night things, or maybe even while we're walking, Ball will kind of inquire,
so what do you know of this trial of Ash and Ember?
The last son of Lattice is to pass it. We'll see if it's you. Probably not. But whoever the last son is will cross into Fuguis, land of fire, and go to the tomb of the Serpent Titan. Tyrus killed it long ago, back when Titans moved along the north. Its bones are still there. Its heart is said to still beat. And from that blood, that iron, a mantle and aegis will be forged for the last son, who will then be able to shatter the heavenly mantle and precede the return of the Father.
And what does that mean? To shatter the heavenly mantle?
It means the gods are stubborn, selfish. It means the Pantheon can change, and Tyrus can return.
And where is Tyrus now?
Buried, far to the west. You know these lands as Tainir. The full name is the White Tomb of Tainir. It's the final resting place of Tyrus, and where he will be resurrected to serve as a lord once more.
Sorry, scribbling down notes.
And what if we cannot get the heart of this serpent?
If you cannot, then you will have failed, and the true son of Vladis will one day complete the task.
And is there a reason that I was able to bring this hammer with me, Havelmer?
You are allowed because you bear the mark of the Fury Fire, the runes on your chest, and you carry the crown. You might be the last son of Vladis. You may not be. The trials will tell that.
Do your friends get to participate in the trial?
Well, I mean, Ball's using the we whenever he's talking about it. Ball thinks, as far as he's concerned.
And Ball, as you're walking along this ridge, you go with these last 2 days, you cross one peak and then two, and as you're reaching the apex of that second peak, there's some stacked stones and some cool wind kind of brushes through your hair that kind of takes you aback. You continue forward for another 50 feet towards the top, and you see a sort of a stone that looks like a tombstone almost, more jagged cut, giant runes in it. And suddenly memories hit you. It feels real, but something distant, as if it happened a long time ago. You can feel yourself taking the same steps, smaller than you're a boy, 10, 12, and you hear a chuckle, hearty, rich, bellowing. We're almost there, Báldorok. And you see behind you, who's kind of walking with you, this tall figure, maybe 25 feet tall, who's kind of like a slender Santa with this great billowing white beard that almost resembles a cloud as the wind kind of rushes around him. Yes, this is it. This is where I learned. All those years ago. Perhaps you can too. Here, hold out your hand. And you remember him taking a knee by this tombstone-like rock, and placing one hand on it and taking the other hand and unfolding his palm as wind and flurries begin to whip in his hand. And you see the air and water vapor crystallizing into a snowflake that spins and rotates in the wind in his hand. And he gestures for you to do the same. Give me a charisma check, Ball.
That's a 12.
You hold your hand out, and he takes your other hand and places it onto the stone. You hold your palm out and there's these little flickers of light, of ember, of fire. It never grows bright or powerful, but there's the little flickers of flames. And you remember this is the first moment where you were able to conjure any small amount of magic on purpose in your hand. And you look back up at this smiling and chuckling, billowing creature before you, the giant. I said, Ball. Very good. And you remember his name, Nimbasius. And you're back in the moment.
Sorry, can you type that name out for me?
Sure thing. As probably the rest of you have noticed, Ball has kind of like stopped and was staring into the distance for a minute.
Ball, are you alright?
This tomb, is it like nearby or just a vision I received?
It's right next to you. You're standing next to where you were so long ago. And it's not a tomb, it's just this tombstone, this rock that has giant runes upon it.
And is Veus doing anything at this moment, or is she just kind of walking by it?
She walked by it. But before she got too far ahead, she's kind of turned around and just kind of looking to see what's going on with you since you stopped. She didn't seem to take much interest in it, if that's what you're asking.
Right. I think Ball isn't going to quite acknowledge Vesper asking if he's okay, and he's just going to kind of go up to the tomb and just he's going to kneel down, put one hand on the rock, and with his other hand he's going to unfold his palm and kind of hold it there. And he's going to try to, just think about conjuring fire in his hand.
You need a charisma check.
9?
The memories distract you, and it's like being a kid again. And you've conjured far greater things, storms of ember, since then, but something about being back here throws you off a bit. You're distracted. Memories are flooding you with who this person was, but there's so many blank spots, blurry areas where you're not sure that's not quite filled in. And the hand just stays blank.
I think Ellery walks up to Ball behind him, and if he's kneeling, I assume she still probably has to reach up to put her hand on his shoulder. What's going on, Ball?
I don't know when, but I've been here before. I was much smaller then, or the giant was much bigger. I'm not sure.
If this was before we knew you, then probably both. A giant? Your parent, maybe?
I don't think so. Someone important to me. He taught me how to conjure fire, though I can't seem to do it right now.
Klaus, do I recognize exactly who he is, or is it kind of, is that part still kind of hazy?
You know who he is, but there's peripheral information around him that you're not clear on. But you definitely remember him.
I guess what I mean is, in the message you sent me, like, I am aware exactly who he is relative to me?
Yes.
Got it, okay.
I think when he did it, it was a snowflake. For me, it was fire. I suppose for others, it would be another element.
And you see, like, Ball's just kind of, like, making sense of it, and kind of he's talking out loud to himself, but kind of, like, you're hearing him basically piece it together out loud.
I think we should continue. I don't want to upset Vase again. You saw what happened last time.
True, though the last time was a little bit more than stopping to remember something. Do you remember much about your life before Embershore?
I think Ball kind of stops to think about, like, refresh himself on his life before Embershore. And he remembers kind of that the one flashback class that you had given where, essentially he saw an incident happen with his parents, or who he thinks were I guess his parents. And then before that, it just kind of, there's like nothing, and then he remembers this moment. And then I guess the image goes back to him looking at Ellery.
No, I think I don't remember much. I don't know how I even remember this.
I'd
like to keep going.
Maybe if we see other places that are familiar, you'll remember other things.
You see Balls nodding along, and he's like,
I think so too, and that's why I'd like to keep going.
Yeah. Let's go. And maybe we'll even see this person that you remember.
I hope that my uncle did not suffer the same fate as my parents.
You could ask our guide if she knows him.
Yeah, maybe that's where Ball kind of, I guess we've been traveling for a little while, and we've been kind of keeping like a steady pace. And you see Ball kind of tries to catch up to Vase, moving a little bit faster than our normal pace. I assume Vase is just kind of up ahead, wondering what the hell we're doing.
Yeah.
So I guess when Ball gets there, Ball will say,
this may be strange, but your memories of this place are better than mine. Do you know a Nimbasius?
She narrows her eyes when you say that.
What do you know about Nimbasius?
He brought me there before.
And then he looks back and just, looking at where, I suppose the rest of the party is slowly leaving, or maybe still at.
I think Ellery is catching up to where Ball is now.
Vester's reading the runes, but once she kind of understands generally what's going on, she'll jog to catch up.
She kind of turns to keep moving and kind of gestures for you, Ball, to move with her.
Nimbasius is one of the children of Ladis, brother of Fervcinderok and of Galvmora. They killed Veraxis, dragon whose head you saw at Swordfjell. They are of our kind, the Jotun, but of the elements as well, more than most. Never met him. Only been on this trail a few times in my lifetime. Perhaps there is more to you. Perhaps you'll die, but in any case.
Were you about to say something?
Yeah, so Ball's kind of, as she's retelling this, Ball's kind of doing that image with all the equations going over his head, and he's thinking back to kind of the research that Amson helped him with, when she mentions Galvmora and Fervcinderok, and he stops and he says,
did they have any other brothers and sisters? Galvmora, Nimbasius, Fervcinderok.
Not that I'm aware of. Not that the stories say. I'm a hunter, though. not an augur.
Maybe you just kind of see, Ball stops for a moment and just kind of, under his breath, he's just like, "Good Sindorok." And he's just kind of thinking about the weight of the name.
And you feel its weight, something there, but the answer to it is beyond you. You can tell there's something, but the details of which aren't clear.
In any case, we'll have to pass the ravine a bit. It's always dangerous in these corners. We want to be quiet. Understood? Tell your friends.
Ball turns around and yells, "We should be quiet."
She face bombs.
No, I'm joking. Ball stops, Ball waits for the rest of them or for the rest of the party to catch up. And then he kind of fills them in and says, "They said there is a ravine. We should be quiet and be careful."
She leads for another maybe 20 minutes before she kind of stops and lets you all kind of gather around her.
Up ahead is the ravine. We'll have to climb down and then out of it. These ravines are always dangerous. Winter wolves or worse. You're in a vulnerable position, stuck down there. There are two ways to do it. One, be as quiet as possible. Or two, run. Which are you better at?
Ball's going to essentially communicate that to the party and say, "What do we want to do?"
I'm definitely better at quiet than I am at running.
In Giant, I'll turn to Veus and ask, how far do we have to run?
Maybe 150, 60 feet, something like that. Not counting climbing down and up.
That's the tricky bit.
It's easier for me. I like large steps, but for you?
Does it looking at the sides of the ravine, does it look like something I can, hop down? Can I use dexterity instead of stealth?
Or there's Hampton's staff.
We also could do the thing where we go in the sphere, in the globe.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Oh shit, there's not a way. Because I was thinking if Felix casts haste on me, I can basically move movement, action, and bonus action to dash. And if he casts haste on me, I mean, that's going to be 90 feet around anyways. But if he casts haste on me,
Well,
I'm fast, very stealthy. Depends on what we want to do. It's the getting up and down that worries me.
Ball, what are you best at? Quiet or fast?
I am better at being loud and fast.
Loud and fast, then.
Kind of looking towards the rest of you, mostly to those who speak Giant, or have shown they can.
There's a way for us all to be carried by one person. You'd only have to take one of us with you.
Fine. Do what you need to, and then that one will run or will be quiet. Who's coming with me, and are we running, or are we being quiet, or shall I make the choice for us?
I think Ball's feeling a little confident here, and just says,
Vesper, I think that I can do this one.
I think you can handle it.
Are you sure? Alone?
I think it would not be a bad idea to let Veus know that there is more to me than my small size.
Which, with Vase being a lot bigger, is kind of... Yeah. I think it's funny.
And Vesper, he's not going to be alone. We're going to be close. All he has to do is let Felix know and we can all come out to help.
I know. Just fine. Tell her to give us 1 minute to get into the sphere and then you two can take off.
Yes, we just need a minute. We will enter the sphere and then we can take off.
Okay. So everyone enters into the sphere except for Ball, is that right?
Yes, unless someone else refuses to go in.
I think the rest of us are all going in.
Okay. So you guys take your minute, eventually entering the sphere where Felix is there. Anything for you, Felix?
Oh, are you all going to be in here now? He's been working on scrolls. I've been tallying time and things. He hasn't really been paying attention.
All right. After everyone's in the sphere, and it's just Ball, you, and Vs. All right, so fast.
Ball nods.
All right. This way. She leads you further to where you can see, get close enough to the edge of this ravine where you can see it goes down maybe 80 feet to 100 in different spots. And she's going to guide you to where you'll move down and across the field and then climb up again. For her, a lot of these steps are maybe 10-ish feet tall. These ledges, some a few feet shorter, some a few feet larger, fairly easily for her to climb, though a bit more difficult for you. So we run across, down and up there. And she kind of points to where there's a tree, where you can see some more or less ledge steps that you might be able to climb up.
Ball stops, looks at Vase and says, "Will this be difficult for you?"
Not for me.
Ball nods and says, "Then I will meet you at the tree." And that's when he's going to cast Fire Form, and then just kind of start booking it. I think last time we said, I don't know how this works because I don't want Ball to fall to his death. I know that we said that with Fire Form he could move across. Anyway, whatever. He'll cast Fire Form as much as he has to do crazy stuff.
Okay. And why don't we take our break here, and then we'll come back and see how that plays out.
Next time on Back to the Story.
They try swiping at her. She's able to use her spear to deflect the first one. The other one scratches her along her leg, tearing off some of the fur that she wears, but she continues running. And in this memory, you can hear the snake hissing, and it begins to move.
I will remind you of who you are, who you are meant to be.
I am Báldorok.
For part 2 of this episode of Back to the Story, you can find it on SoundCloud, Spotify, iTunes, or wherever you prefer to get your podcasts. We also have a YouTube channel called Back to the Story, an actual play podcast. If you'd like to support the show, feel free to buy us a coffee at ko-fi.com/backtothestory.